According to the National Science Foundation, the average person has 12,000 to 60,000 thoughts a day. And I don't know where you feel like you fall in that category. I'm probably more towards the higher side of that. I'm a big verbal processor. I like learning, all of those things. So let's say I have 50,000 thoughts a day. That's a lot of thoughts. Well, 80% of your thoughts are negative on average. And about 95% of those thoughts are on a loop, just replaying in your mind over and over and over and over. Now, that's a pretty dismal statistic. I don't like hearing that because it seems just very heavy to me. And also, I don't know about you, but if I try to think like the 50,000 or 60,000 thoughts that I might have in a day, or maybe 12,000 thoughts, even 12,000 thoughts in a day, I don't remember all of those thoughts. And I imagine you don't either. So that's what this picture of the iceberg is, because, there's thoughts that you do remember. Those are top of the iceberg. That's what you can see and feel and remember. But then there's those thoughts that are below the surface. And in coaching land, we call that subconscious thoughts or unconscious thoughts. They're happening, and they're happening in a very automatic way without you even knowing it. It's just going on in the background. It's like breathing for you. So I was curious, when you see this word enough, how do you relate to that word? And if you can, perhaps type in the chat. So what word comes up for you when you think about the word enough? Never enough. Yep. Same, never enough. Yep. Like those words just kind of go together. Balance, Kathy? Don't know how much. Choose contentment. One thing that we talk about when I was getting trained as a coach is the way that thoughts become actions. Belief becomes thoughts, becomes actions. And so if we have that default setting of not enough embedded within our everyday, and especially when it comes to money, it's going to show in a lot of different ways. She continues on, and I'll read one last excerpt from this. It shapes our deepest sense of ourselves, and it becomes the lens through which we experience life. Through that lens, our expectations, our behavior, and their consequences become a self-fulfilling prophecy of inadequacy, lack, and dissatisfaction. This internal condition of scarcity, this mindset of scarcity, lives at the very heart of our jealousies, our greed, our prejudice, our arguments with life. And in this mindset of scarcity, our relationship with money is an expression of fear, a fear that drives us in an endless and unfulfilled chase for more, or into compromise that promises a way out of the chase of discomfort around money. We abandon our soul and grow more and more distance from our core values and highest commitments. It really hit home for me. That even just that idea of like the first thing that pops up into my brain when I wake up is I didn't get enough sleep, and the way that it propels into different thoughts and actions of the day. And so if we're talking about our internal experience of money and our default mode is not enough, we are not going to be at peace with ourselves and with our money and the choices that we make. So I love this sketch from Behavior Gap. It's just the simple way out of that scarcity mindset. And that's increasing your knowledge, which doesn't necessarily mean book knowledge here. Because if we're looking at the circle of wisdom, like what actually creates wisdom in our lives, it's self-knowledge. So you don't have to go out and get more degrees to be at one with your money. You don't have to go and do much of anything. It's more of just an awareness of how you're being. And from that new level of knowledge, then you can take different actions. Perhaps there's one way that you're relating to money. Maybe it's an expense, or maybe it's some income that you're deriving that you feel like you have to have, but it doesn't feel good. Maybe perhaps you're shifting that action and cutting off, not doing that thing anymore. And maybe that gives you access to something else. This is how we break out of that 12,000 to 60,000 thoughts a day. We slow down and we pay attention to ourselves.